Welcome to Grace and Gossip. I am your host, Crystal XO. And you guys, I know I saw there was a little bit of inconsistency there, but that's okay. That's okay. I just got back from Orlando and welcome. Hey, Druzy. Welcome to Grace and Gossip, where we have, conversations about pop culture with a little sophistication and elegance. We talk a little mess, but, we try to do it all with positivity, so that we stay positive and we stay on the up and up. When they go low, we do not go down with them. We laugh at them, but we don't go all the way down with them. So, welcome, you guys. Like I said, I was in Orlando this weekend and excited to be back, excited to be back in my home, excited to be back with my family, and excited to be back with you all here as opposed to in a hotel room. So let me make sure that our Facebook audience is on board. Our Facebook audience is on board as well. But yes, so happy to be home. I want to tell you guys a little bit about what happened at Disney before we get into tonight's conversation. I went to participate in Disney Dreamers Academy, and you know what? It's interesting because this is my second time going, right? My first time was last year, and they've done this. This was 25th year, so they've done this consecutively for a long time. Basically, it allows high school students that are already excelling in some area of creativity or tech or STEM to have an opportunity to come to Disney and be around experts, do interviews with media like myself, and then just have this amazing experience. And I don't think there's a better place to do that than Disney. They choose 100 students. So there is students from across the United States that come, and they call them the 100 Dreamers. But I want to say every time I have gone, I end up getting so much for myself, even though I am nowhere near. I am on the opposite end of being a high school student, but just the ability to dream and to stay positive and to realize that your dreams are worthwhile and worthy are something that is, I think, relevant and valuable for all of us, no matter what age we are. So I appreciate the Disney Dreamers, coming and having that opportunity for us as media to come and interview them and just be in that environment. I want to say, that first of all, my biggest takeaway, there are a few takeaways I had from the weekend. I was there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, got back home late last night. Biggest takeaway, biggest thing that I enjoyed, David and Tamala Mann were guests, and that is the definition of a power couple. The two of them, not only have they been married forever, and definitely are in business together, but they're so humble, so down to earth, so relatable, and just, not trying to do anything but encourage people and inspire them. And then, of course, Tamala sung, which inspired everybody. But I really, really, I think I enjoyed them the most. This was their first year, at least the first time I saw them there. And they actually talked to the parents, because like I said, dreaming is not just for little ones and not just for children. It is for all of us. And sometimes as parents, I think we put our own dreams to the side and we focus on our children's dreams. And um, I love the fact that they encourage the parents to continue dreaming themselves. Just because you're a parent, just because you're a grandparent, doesn't mean that you should not be dreaming and should not be focusing on yourselves as well. I think that's actually a great thing for your children to see when they see their parent go after their dreams. I believe it inspires them to do the same, because a lot of times what our children see is what they believe they have the ability to do. And so I actually had another experience. So they had David and Tamala Mann there. They had Tyler Williams from Abbott Elementary. I remember him from Everybody Hates Chris, the little kid, the little boy that played Chris Rock on that series. And also Lisa Nichols. Lisa Nichols was amazing. I've heard her speak before, but she spoke to us several times over the weekend, and she's amazing and very powerful. And I'll be sharing some of those clips and that from this weekend with you guys here on YouTube. I know I've already put up a few pieces on Lennox and Parker. So if you go over to www.lennoxandparker.com, you can see a snippet of Tamala singing. It's also on our Instagram page as well. And also, a message from her and David. I had a message from Lisa Nichols. But it's interesting as I talk about, parents dreaming and their children. So you guys know, many of you that watched on Friday had an opportunity to meet my daughter. My daughter is a DJ, and I'm going to share this later. I'm going to do a little video about it, but my daughter was into music from the time she was born. I remember her being in the back seat of my Honda Civic, and I'd be playing, Mariah Carey and Jagged Edge and all this music, and she would just be back there bobbing her little head with her little ponytails, and she loved it. And when she went to school, she wanted to be in the band. I was never in band. I played piano, I played violin. I guess I was in the band then, but I wanted to play saxophone. They didn't let me play saxophone, so they made me play the violin, and I got out. And then I was just more interested in being a cheerleader and, trying to be like, in with this little popular group of girls. I was never into the band. And there were, different auxiliaries in the band, but that wasn't my thing. Cheer was really my thing. And so my daughter cheered, but she was also in the band. I remember she came to me and I said, Chanel, being in both is very expensive. Being in cheer and band is very expensive. And I wanted her to choose cheer because I, was a cheerleader. And she did, but I think ultimately she really wanted to choose band. She loved music. And so she said, I just love music, Mom, and I just feel like I should do something in music. Now, by this time, I'm in the music industry. I'm a publicist working with various artists from T.I. to Jeezy, Big Boy, obviously TLC, the Braxtons, a lot of different people in the industry. I had the Sierra, I had the opportunity to work with, and I didn't really like the side of the industry that I saw, specifically coming in initially and working with hip hop artists. I really didn't want my daughter in that, so I really pushed her away from it. And as a lot of parents, we try to make the decision for our children by trying to encourage them to do what we think is going to be the safest and most secure thing for them. So I try to dim my daughter's love and her desire to be in the music industry because I saw so much in the industry I didn't like. And we've talked about that. Obviously on this show, we talked about the case with Diddy and several other situations that have been very negative, in this business. There's been a lot of just chauvinist and misogynistic behavior, and I didn't want my daughter to be a part of that. So a lot of it was not just that I wanted her to cheer like myself, but I always also wanted her to be safe. So we went through a period where she was trying to pursue a chemical engineering degree because I thought, for me, that would have been what I thought was the biggest thing for her. I didn't really respect my talent was in writing and talking, and I wanted, she was smart at science and math, and I thought, this is how you can make money, by being in STEM and focusing on chemistry and this type of thing. And she had a breakdown in college. I'll never forget this. She called me. I went to her house and she just looked miserable. And she said, I have to tell you something, Mom. I can't do this. I'm living my life for you. I have to live for me. And I just am miserable here. I don't love chemistry. I don't love engineering. I just don't. She said, I see the kids that are in chemistry and they love it and I don't. And I love music. And I said, I felt so bad. As a parent, you're not perfect. And I said, I am sorry, and I will support you in whatever you want to do. And she said, I want to be a DJ and I want to do engineering. And so she dropped out of school, then third year in, and she started all over again in audio engineering. And I told her I would support her. I had her move back in with me so she could save money, and she focused on that. She went and got her degree in audio engineering, and she started engineering in studios, started pursuing her DJing. And she was so happy. I just saw that she was a total different child. And I felt so bad for encouraging her not to follow her dream, even if it's out of fear, if it's out of your own fear. It was wrong. And so I say all that. I know this is a long story, but I say all that because this weekend, while I'm with Disney Dreamers, I had a chance to see my daughter's dream come true because she actually performed on stage with TLC. They had her audition. She didn't get the job because of me, definitely. That's not how this goes, but she did have probably the opportunity to audition. But she did, she got the job and she killed it. And when I tell you guys, as a parent, I know a lot of you that watch this channel are parents. And some of you may be looking forward to being parents one day. But seeing your child do what they absolutely love and are put on this planet to do is the most amazing feeling I think that I've ever had. I think with my daughter, the 2 day when I was she just I've never seen her look that happy. I told my mom she looked like when she was 2 or 3 years old, and the toddlers and they get something, they just have this big smile that is totally void of fear or danger. They don't know anything about that. They're just happy. And that's how she looked on stage. And yes, Druzy, it was so amazing to watch that. I didn't go backstage. Usually when TLC performs, I go backstage, be a part of that. But I wanted her to have her moment without her mom, there. But I watched from the audience, and you guys know I'm a little cheesy, so you just have to give it to me, right? But I'm in the audience watching her, and I hear this girl that's standing next to me. She says, "Wow, is that their DJ?" Because Chanel looks so young. And she said, "Oh, man, that makes me want to be a DJ." And I look, I hear how she's encouraging and being we know that representation matters so much for this girl to see her and me to hear that. And then to see that little dimple smile. She's got the biggest little dimples, and see her. And then she killed it. And it was something I will never forget. And I thought, I want to encourage other parents. I have a picture of my daughter at 12. I bought her a DJ set that I really could not afford. But we had been going through a lot. And I just thought, for Christmas, I'm a big Christmas person. And I said, I'm just going to get this for her to show her, we've gone through a divorce. I wanted her to still believe in herself. And so I got the set for her, and her little face lit up. And when I saw her performing on stage, it just reiterated for me that that was the right thing to do. And as parents, we're not God. God loans us our children for a certain period of time. But if I can encourage anyone out there to just believe in your child, sow those seeds in them. Don't listen to fear, because sometimes we tell them not to do things out of our own fear, but for them, trying to protect them. But it was an amazing experience, and I definitely had to share that with you guys. Outside of seeing my daughter's dream come to reality, and actually that becomes a part of a parent's dream, is seeing their children happy. But I also realized that I still have to continue to dream, and I hope all of you out there are doing the same thing. Dreaming is so important, and believing in it and just walking towards it. And so what I decided, she and I actually decided to do this together. And so I'm going to share this, because if I share it with you guys, it makes it even more real. So there is a concept titled 75 Hard. And basically it's 75 days of changing your mental immunity, or your mental fortitude, or the toughness, and discipline is so important. And so what I'm doing for 75 days, I'm not drinking any soda. I'm not eating anything that's unhealthy. I'm sticking to that. And then I'm also reading inspirational things, 10 pages of an inspirational, motivational book to make yourself more just to increase your mental muscle. And then also to exercise for 2 45-minute stints per day. So that's where I'm at. And I'm trying to just get myself together, because I honestly believe, and you guys know my book, which is over there, How to Win When Ish Happens, is really, I understand the power of your mind. Our mind, what we tell ourselves is, what our reality becomes. And so I just want to encourage you guys, before we get started in the gossip and the grace, with some inspiration, to make sure that you are dreaming, and then make sure that you are doing everything that you can do to keep yourself in that mental space. So do not listen to anything negative. Do not allow yourself to do not even listen to anything negative, even if it comes from yourself, right? Check yourself. If you start telling yourself something negative. On this channel, we obviously talk about relationships a lot. And a lot of times in the comments, I'll see people say, well, I know I'll never have this, or this isn't for. Do not allow any negativity, even if it is from yourself, to come out of your mouth. And if you find it happening in your head, you just have to repeat. You have to start over again, right? So stop those thoughts. Don't allow yourself to dwell in them. Redirect your energy say some affirmations, and keep it moving. And so that's what I'm doing. Now, I don't understand why I decided to do this hard 75 while I've got a lot going on. We have a big event coming up for Cowboys and Creatives, and I definitely was not planning on being 75 hard during that time. But hey, I made the commitment. And so here we are. Here we are, 75 hard. If you guys want to do it with me, I will make the post after we finish tonight's episode. I'll put the post up. So if you want to go 75 hard, you are more than welcome. We can talk about it. We can go back and forth over it because I definitely need some support. I definitely need some support. So I am noticed that I did not used to drink soda a lot, but now that I've, I kind of fell off the wagon and I've drunk it, I crave like the carbonation of it, right? So I have, when I'm drinking, because I know you guys see me drink soda on here, I'm drinking the bubbly or the bubbly sparkling water. This is just sparkling water with carbonation in it so that it gives me that that feeling of carbonation, but it does not have the calories of the soda. And I don't really drink anything else anyway, so that shouldn't be a problem. But no fried foods. I went to the grocery store and got a cart full of vegetables today. Chili would have been extremely proud because my grocery cart has never looked like that in all these years I've worked with her. She's such a big, advocate for healthy eating. And whenever I go to the grocery store, I'm like, oh, I've got to get, I get some chips or I'll get some candy or I just got vegetables because if it's not in your house, you can't eat it, right? So I'm doing 75 hard. You guys join me. And I see people here, but I'm not seeing anyone speaking to me besides Druzy. So you guys let me know who's watching. Let me know where you're watching from as we get ready to start this grace and gossip conversation. All right. Getting into the grace and getting into the gossip. First of all, I'm going to start with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. The foolishness that is on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I have a few articles coming up this week that I'm going to be sharing with you guys over the week. But Real Housewives of Atlanta, I do want to report in a happy way. This actually made me happy that the show actually they did a reboot and they added these 3 new characters, right? We talked about that. Come on, chat. Thank you, Druzy. Druzy is leading the charge. Check in, chat. Hey, Sheena K. My 75 heart starts today. It started today, girl. It started today. We made the decision to do it yesterday. And yesterday I was at Disney and I ate horribly. I started today. So I had salad for lunch. And I'm getting ready to have some veggies for dinner. And I have my bubbly sparkling water. Yes. Let me know where you guys are checking in from. But I'm talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta, understanding they brought in 3 new cast, principal peaches, right? Not just cast, but not friends of the cast, but they brought in 3 new principal peaches. Angela Oakley, they brought in Britt Edie, and also Kelly Farrell. Now, I mentioned to you guys a couple of weeks ago, we did a conversation about this, that the entire focus of the show this season, no, I know 75 is for you, is for me, not you. I got you regular soda, and I got you regular. Well, you're gonna be eating some vegetables, but I do have you some other food as well. My husband does not want to do the 75 hard, but he probably will like the way the results are once I get into this, because I've got to get myself ready for summer. I can tell you guys, dealing with a lot, food is an escape for me. So when I'm not at my happy place or when I'm stressed out, I do a lot of emotional eating, and emotional eating is always better when it's fried or it's sweet, right? So I definitely want to get myself together, and I encourage others to join me that want to, or watch me do that this time and then, join me the next time. But Housewives focused this season on materialism, right? Because these new women came in. We saw an entire episode that focused on Kelly Farrell buying her daughter. And I know I keep talking about this, but it just threw me off that she bought her daughter 17 designer bags for her birthday. I have seen the difference between a spoiled child and a non-spoiled child. And if you are buying your daughter 75 designer bags for her 17th birthday, I'm going to be controversial and say you are teaching her, you are sending her a very bad message. You are teaching her that her worth is based in what she's able to acquire and what she's able to get. And I mean, and you're teaching her that designer bags are worth. That's you're confusing that with self-worth. It's horrible. Um, it's just I think even people that have means to do that. And maybe Kelly has the ability to do that. I still think that's the wrong message. It's just a horrible message to send. So I thought, seeing Shamia. So Shamia, they brought in Britt, Kelly, and Angela, and then they also brought back friend of the show, Shamia. Now, Shamia is a perfect example of someone who has the means to do that. And she does, splurge, and she does show you know, her lavish lifestyle, but she's also very down to earth, at least from what we see on the show. I've been around Shamia at events and everything, and she's always seemed very, um, just a lot more level headed than some of the other girls. However, she does have way more money than most of the people on the show. Her home doesn't even have an address, it just has a name, which means it is an estate. She's got the elevator in the house, all that stuff that you would have if you were a multi-millionaire, right? Her husband brought her a Rolls Royce Cullinan for her birthday, which is priced at over $225,000. Crazy, crazy. But she has that, and I think that the show started, on this note of really being based in materialism. And so I thought that viewers would like that. But I am proud to report that the ratings were actually lower than ever. So people, this is the thing. People don't, yes, they like that stuff. We like to watch that stuff because it's kind of like fantasy, right? Television is a lot of fantasy. Like you want to see what you wish you could get if you had that much money or something like that. However, people really love vulnerability and authenticity. And so the fans, we can tell when someone is trying to win us over by being fake or they're doing too much. I call it putting the 10 on the 2. They indicated 430,000. I did not know that because I looked up the retail, and that's probably the base version that I had at 250. $430,000 for a car is insane. But, hey, she got it. And I just want to make this point. And I know this is something that I usually would talk about on Wednesday, and I'll bring it back up on Wednesday for Dating Diaries. But the woman who has the most money, who has married the most into the most wealth, and Real Housewives was based around this idea of women who marry well, women who marry men that are very wealthy and they enjoy this privileged life. Well, the woman who married the best um, pick, the bachelor with the most, he is a blue collar worker. He does HVAC. And so for all the women out there saying, I don't want to date a blue collar worker, you may want to switch that up, because if you look at like jobs and what people are able to make, and you look at someone that's like a doctor, and a doctor can make around, 250,000 and up. That really is not a lot of money when you consider how much work they have to do and how much money they have to pay out in malpractice lawsuit insurance and some of the other things that they do. So when you look at that and you look at taxes, that's not really a lot of money. And then you look at someone who is a blue collar worker but owns the company, and that's not something that can be affected by AI. And he is killing it. And there's no limit on that, because you're always going to need your heating and air. Businesses are always going to need heating and air, right? And so I don't know. I just want to tell the ladies out there that are a little bit skeptical about dating a man that works with his hands, you may want to reconsider that, looking at the Real Housewives. There's no shame in anyone earning an honest living. And so Shamia definitely had the right idea by finding a man that, number one, really loved her and really prioritized her. And then, the fact that he is a down to earth man that works in HVAC. Now he obviously owns the company, but in order to own the company, you need to know how to do the skill. So just a little heads up for you ladies out there frowning and turning your nose up at the blue collar guys. Okay. Um, so yeah, so speaking of Shamia, the ratings are low. Shamia was the sidekick of Portia, and Portia is back. It's so ironic, as they say, them tables always turn. So Portia married this Nigerian, I'm gonna say scammer, because it's a lot that, I mean, obviously it came out. She don't even know what it's a lot going on. Let's just say scammer, intelligent scammer, because he's been able to get away with it. But he has all these businesses, and then it ends up that he's done fraud, bank fraud, doesn't have his citizenship papers, and she's divorcing him because of that. So she did all of that, and now she's getting divorced. And now the house, they had 3 weddings, this big fabulous ornate mansion that still wasn't able to compete with Shamia's. And now she does not have access to that house. So Portia came back to the show as an OG without a huge house, right? And then her sidekick friend now is eclipsing her with the look of what she has. It realistically, that shouldn't be a problem for real friends, but we know how these women on these reality shows are. So I'm not surprised that their friendship is being tested. And Portia has been seen making some shady comments towards Shamia. Obviously, you guys, if you watch Sunday, then you know this whole thing with Britt and Kenya is playing out, where Britt and Kenya kind of got into it. And I knew that was going to happen, because Britt is a self-proclaimed Black Barbie. Kenya is the ultimate Black Barbie, right? Maybe the Black Barbie from yesterday, but still Black Barbie nonetheless. And Britt, just these new girls came on here, and we've shown them that success for the housewives means you have to have this nasty attitude. Probably the most celebrated Atlanta housewife was Nene Leakes, who was just very much a bully and a mean girl. So these girls come on this show, and they automatically think that they have to show this competitive mean girl side in order to be successful. So is it annoying? Yes, but it also is what the public has rewarded over the last 16 seasons of Housewives. The women that have been celebrated and have been pushed forward and given accolades have been the ones who have acted a fool on camera. Nene, Portia, um, Phaedra, and I gotta get to Phaedra next week. It's just ridiculous, but I don't have time to talk about her this week. But we will definitely be revisiting Phaedra next week. So yes, the Portia and Shamia friends. Now, Portia and Shamia were allegedly, supposed to be friends from when they were much younger. However, that doesn't, just because you were friends with someone when you were younger doesn't mean that that was a real friend, right? That could have been, a lot of times there are women that are friends with you because of what that friendship does for them. There are some friendships that are genuine, and then there are other friendships that are about placement. And I know this person, but being around her because she's popular, because she does this, is a good look for me. And those friendships, I've seen girls like that, like they like to go get men together, but they're not really genuinely friends. And so I don't necessarily think this friendship is 100% genuine, because the friendship was at its best when Portia was the focus of attention and Shamia was the sidekick. A lot of times, and I'm sure people out there watching, I'm sure you guys have friends that they're cool with you as long as you're not doing better than them in any area, right? If you're single and they're married and they've got a new car and you don't, then everything is fine. But let you get a new car, let you get a raise or a promotion at work, and their attitude towards you changes. I had a girlfriend, and I cut people like that out of my life. I don't have any room for those type of people in my life, because I support you when you have something going well, or when things are going good for you. But if you can't do the same for me, then we don't need to be friends. I had a girlfriend, and I swear I will not say her name, but I can still see her face. I went through a divorce. A lot of people knew I was down for a long time. My business started to change. Excuse me. Excuse me, real quick, guys. Okay. I'm so sorry. My husband was doing something, and it was loud as heck. I don't know what, I don't know. But anyway, so anyway, I was friends with this girl and this woman. She and I were friends, and she, had a family member that was very, very wealthy, very, very wealthy, and she was a single mom as well, but she was very well taken care of because she had this rich family member. I, on the other hand, was just working, working, always the worker, didn't have much, just constantly working. And I also went out of my way to, do things for people when I probably shouldn't. So she was one of the people I did things for, right? She had some family members. I was helping them with publicity, was not charging them at all. I just really believed in them. She's okay. Believed in them. So anyway, things started going better for my business. Over time, hard work eventually pays off. No, it has no choice but to. Law of attraction, law of sowing and reaping, right? You keep sowing, eventually you're going to start to reap. So things started going better for my business, but I'm not a braggadocious person, so I didn't brag about it. But I started making little changes. So I got another car. I got a new car, and she and I were supposed to go to lunch. So I'm not the person that announces when I get a new car. I just got the new car, you know, got in it, and I told her I was going to meet her for lunch. We pulled up at the restaurant, and she saw my car, and her mouth could not close. And it wasn't like, oh my God, girl, I'm so happy for you. It was just like, where did you get that? How did you? It was so negative. And there was another girlfriend, it was three of us. And she was like, did you know Christal? Did you know Christal got a car? And it was almost like she was upset with me because I had gotten another car. I saw then, I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with this friendship. I'm done because you're not really happy for me. You don't wish me well. You do not wish me well. It's upsetting you that I'm doing well. That's crazy. I mean, that's fine. You're just not my friend. And I've had people around me close. People that are close to me cannot be a hater. And if I find out that you are, then you have to get away from me. And so I feel like with Shamia and Portia, I feel like Portia is the type of friend that is fine as long as you are in. She is the center point, center of attention. As long as she's the prettiest, as long as she's the wealthiest, as long as she's the most connected, then everything is fine. And Shamia is a sidekick, and she's the Batman to her, the Robin to her Batman. But at this season, the way that the producers laid the show out, Shamia is Batman, and Portia is Robin. And Portia is not able to deal with that because she's used to being the prettiest and the most popular and the queen, and then you are on my court. Well, Shamia is no longer on the court. Shamia is actually the queen herself, and Portia has been relegated to the handmaiden. And so she's not going to be able to handle that, and that also means that she's not really her friend. And there are some people who just cannot be a friend. Like there are a lot of people that their entire capacity is not able to be a real friend. Like they're giving you the best that they got, but the best that they got is not that. And so again, for me at this point in my life, at this stage in my life, I have no real room for people like that. So I think that we're watching the Shamia and Portia friendship come to have some conflicts and bumps and bruises. But I believe that the friendship was never really real. The friendship was always based on Portia being the one that was, you know, um, always the one that's most celebrated. And as long as that was the case, then the friendship was fine. But if the things ever changed, that was not going to be fine. And I feel like Portia showed us this about her personality a while ago. If you guys are watching this season, you see that she's also upset because Drew is Dennis, her ex or her daughter's father, is helping Drew with her music. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that is extremely strange because I've lived in Atlanta for a long time, and like I said, my foundation in entertainment started in the music industry. I've never heard of Dennis being a producer ever. I have heard of Dennis working in the having the hot dog restaurants and selling hair and insurance, right? Never music. But, hey, we're all multi-talented. We all do a number of things. But the fact that Portia is angry because Dennis is working with Drew and doesn't want him to be on camera with Drew, and her argument is ridiculous. She's like, I'm going to break the fourth wall, and you didn't tell me this. But why do you even care? You don't want Dennis. You got married. You got married 3 times to a whole nother man. So you don't care about Dennis like that. Dennis is your daughter's father. You said that you guys co-parent well. So unless Drew is how could Drew affect the co-parenting? How? I don't understand that. That's because you want Dennis to be worshiping you. And if you guys don't believe me, you can go back and watch an episode. Actually, don't. Just let me just take my word for it. Do not go back and watch because you will waste valuable time. But Dennis went on Portia's spinoff, which was horrible, Portia's Family Matters. And Portia was there on the trip with all her family that's all worshiping her. Her cousin is her assistant. Her sister is her little, her minion. I'm sure the sister's always been in her shadow. And the mother, and everyone's just kissing Portia's behind. She invites Dennis to come because she said they need to come and learn to work as a family. And then goes apeshit when Dennis brings a woman. Now, why do you want your man, your mom, your sister, your ex, and nobody can have anyone else that they're dealing with besides you? But really with Dennis, like, how come Dennis couldn't have a woman? Girl, no man is going to come and sit there. And I'm glad that Dennis, even though he was on the TV show and he probably wants to be on TV, he still left. And good for him, because if not, we would have known something about Dennis. Like, who is going to sit there and watch you and your new fiance canoodle while they're by themselves? It's almost like she wanted to throw it in his face. And now this season, she does not want him to be on camera with Drew. Foolishness and folly. But again, Portia is that spoiled wannabe Black American princess that feels like everyone should be in her servitude. And Shamia is no longer in her servitude. In fact, if Portia wants to be relevant, she may need to, like I said, she's become the handmaiden. And if you don't like that position, you may find yourself no longer one of the most popular on the show. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you guys are watching this on the replay, please let me know what you think about the Portia and Shamia situation. Now I'm going to go back and talk a little bit about Britt and Kenya. That's going to play out more. So we'll obviously talk more about that next week. Obviously, that situation ends with Kenya leaving the show for the rest of the season. But I think when you put out that bad behavior is rewarded, Britt comes in and she's, all high and mighty and ready to take another person down. She's threatening. The threatening goes back and forth, and then Kenya takes it to, because we know Kenya is smart and Kenya has been there for a long time. And so Kenya is not going to let someone get the best of her. And I think sometimes younger women underestimate an older woman's ability. Like, Britt thinks that she's smarter than Kenya. She thinks that she's prettier than Kenya. She thinks that she can run circles around Kenya, and she cannot on any of those levels. However, Kenya might have taken it too far, and it jeopardized her position on the show. The interesting thing is what Kenya did. If she had done that several years ago, it would not have been a problem. But this whole Me Too movement has changed, and things are different. And now people are super sensitive. And, back in the day, there was all types of things being done back and forth, and it was okay. But now, because the culture has kind of shifted when it comes to like exposing people, then now Kenya is considered the villain for what she did. And I don't think it's right, but I do want to point out that things have been done on this show in seasons past and no one has been called out for it. Tina Bree says, I don't have this channel, but RHOA is my fave. I'm glad I can get the recap tonight until I can figure this channel out besides the recap. Yes, well, we will definitely keep you posted, Tina, and I will definitely be doing Real Housewife recaps every Monday here on Grace and Gossip. We know that Kelly and Britt both kind of have it out for Kenya and Portia. Kelly went at Portia initially, and then Britt went at Kenya. And I don't think this is personal. I think this is just them trying to make sure that they stake out their claim and put their flag on the show and get invited back next season. Angela Oakley doesn't really fit to me in this cast. Did you guys see last Sunday when they were at the event for Kelly's daughter? And well, she was doing a nonprofit event at Balmain. And Angela and Shamia have some type of weird ruse going on. And Shamia told Angela that her nose was from the 1990s, i.e., the circa of LaToya Jackson's. Like when you, and I can't do it, but it was hilarious. Shamia did it. So it's always like who's going to go at who, and then the other girls have to pick sides. Drew is just, I do know I'm supposed to do an interview with Drew soon. Drew has this music and she's focusing on that. I actually want to see more about what's going on with Drew and her ex, because I feel like that's really where we left off. We left off with her accusing him of cheating, and then her accusing him of trying to get to her money. So I really want to know what's going on with that. The music is cool, but it's just a lot of it. It's a lot of it. And I don't know if I'm ready for all of it. Maybe a single, maybe, hit me with a single like Melody Holt did. I mean, Melody Cherie did, or Melody Rogers did. Hit me with a single or two. Don't hit me with a whole EP and a whole bunch of songs and you crying and saying you just broke a soul tie. It was not a soul tie. It was your whole husband that you have children with. Like, girl, I don't know. I need to hear more about that before we dive into this EP. I mean, you could have the EP, but I just don't want to dive in it until you tell me what's going on with you and Ralph. I need to know that. I need to understand what's going on. I need to understand where the breakdown came, because before you were gung-ho, you were going to stand by your man. And then all of a sudden you guys turned and were both out trying to outrun each other to the courthouse. What happened with all of that, ma'am, before we go into the EP? That's where I'm at. You guys let me know what you think. I will support a single and then another single. I need a build up. I don't need just a full EP. And then I need to understand where that relationship is at. I need to see Ralph. I need to understand about this Dennis situation. When did Dennis start doing music, and what does he see different in your project? I need a lot more than this EP, Drew. I'm just saying. And maybe that's something that she and I can talk about. I need more than this EP. Yes. So another thing I wanted to talk about today. Let's see here. I got to go back. I know I said I wasn't. But I got to go back to Married at First Sight. And I did this piece that said we desperately need Dr. Viviana back on Married at First Sight. I just realized that Pastor Cal, first of all, do you guys know Dr. Pepper is in her 80s? Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's a beautiful thing. But not only is Dr. Pepper in her 80s, and we're talking about, I pivoted to Married at First Sight, Lifetime's Married at First Sight. Dr. Pepper is in her 80s and she does not live with her husband. So with someone who is in their 80s and doesn't live with their husband, how are they giving advice to people that are married at first sight that have to move in together? She doesn't have any advice because she doesn't live with her husband. She needs to be on a different show, which is probably like spouses that don't live together. How can you manage that conflict? That's fine, but this is not the show for you to be on because you do not know how to live with someone that you're in a relationship with because you opt not to. So I don't understand why she's on the show. Pastor Cal is, I believe, in his 60s. He's in his early 60s. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But most of the cast are in their 30s. So Dr. Pepper's in her 80s and doesn't live with her husband. Pastor Cal's in his 60s and is a Christian, right? And a lot of these people do not follow Christian values. I do. You may, but a lot of these people come on the show and they're not. So there's a huge disconnect. So they brought in Dr. Pia, and I told you guys my problem with Dr. Pia was she's too emotional and she's upset about, like, you can't have a personal stake in this. You telling David that you've lost all respect for him is very unprofessional. So I believe, and I thought back, Dr. Viviana, you guys remember I interviewed her on this channel. She was also an intimacy coach or intimacy consultant, just like Dr. Pia. But I just feel like she kept people more accountable, and she asked the hard questions, and she kept it objective. Dr. Pia saying, I've lost all respect for you, and pretty much being on Michelle's side was unacceptable. If you guys watched the last episode of Married at First Sight this past Tuesday, Michelle actually apologized to David. I was blown away. That's why I was like, okay, I'll talk about it one more time because, something different happened. Michelle finally apologized. What is interesting is Michelle treated him like that. The experts never called her out on it, not once. The experts never called Michelle out on her behavior. Michelle had to go home and watch the entire season and then come to the realization that she was a mean girl and she was hateful to him in the first few episodes. Why wasn't she ever held accountable? Not Dr. Pepper, not Pastor Cal, not Dr. Pia. No one held her accountable. She had to hold herself accountable. That means the experts are doing a horrible job. I also want to point out that I read an article on an interview that David just did. And David said that, and I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about him, but that's neither here nor there. He said that he wished the experts had been more involved because he was having a hard time navigating that situation with Michelle. Michelle was being so hateful to him. Again, I bring up on the honeymoon, she told him not to reach out to her. And he texted her and was like, are you okay? She was like, if I tell you don't reach out to me, that means don't talk to me for the entire day. He basically had to get out of the apartment on the honeymoon. No one ever held her accountable for that. That proves that there's incompetency on the behalf of the experts. And, I think that Dr. Viviana did a great job. I think she was closer in age to the participants. I think wisdom is always important, right? So I'm never going to have a problem with people being older than the cast, but 80s, that's a bit much. It's a total different life. And the fact that she doesn't live with her husband, like you have no tools to help me understand. Pastor Cal in his 60s, that's a 30-year age gap, or at least a 25-year age gap than most of the cast. And he is a Christian. He comes from Christian values. And again, I am a Christian, but what about for people that come on the show and they're not Christians, right? That's not necessarily objective for them. They need someone else that's able to be, that middle barrier for them. And I think Dr. Viviana was. Dr. Pia, I don't know if it's because she was pregnant or what. I just didn't like it. And then I also pointed out that Devon Franklin joined the show. When Dr. Pia was first introduced, Devon Franklin was also brought on, which I thought was a very strange thing because he had just gone through a divorce from Megan Good. And I just think, I understand that divorced people can give great advice. Definitely believe that. But when you just went through a very public divorce, and that's probably what people are thinking about more than, you and Megan wrote a book on being celibate before you get married. And then I don't know where that book is going to go now. I don't know what's happening with that book, but the book is out there. And so it's kind of hard for us to take advice when we just, maybe some years had to pass. Like this was the first thing in the press about him after the divorce. He gets divorced from Megan Good. And then we see that he's an expert on Married at First Sight. But it was short-lived. We only saw him like 2 times, maybe 3. I think 2 episodes. 2 scenes we saw him. And then we didn't see him anymore. But Dr. Pia, I remember thinking, like, is Devon going to be on here? Devon actually had great advice, of course. He's charismatic and he's that guy, right? He's that super charismatic and going to give you that charm and charisma. But I just felt like he was a distraction because of the divorce from Megan. But Dr. Pia kind of skated in with him. And then when he left, we just were stuck with her. And it's not that I don't like her. I just don't think she's good for the show at all. I think she's good for a different type of show. Not sure what that is, but not this one. But I definitely think that Dr. Viviana needs to come back. And I think if you are having this much, this many huge train wrecks on this show. This season, someone got with someone else's spouse. A couple of seasons before, there was the whole racial thing with the Indian groom and the African-American bride who was also pan. And it's just a lot that they need help navigating. And we need someone who is not afraid to hold people to the fire. And Pastor Cal is not able to do it because, like I said, he obviously did not hold Michelle accountable for anything. She had to come back and apologize. Not once did they ever say to her that she was wrong for treating him that way. Yeah, we know you were just trying to turn it around and no, she wasn't. She was condescending and she felt like he was beneath her, and it was very clear, and no one brought that out. No one brought that to her attention. But kudos to her for actually acknowledging that and apologizing. I thought that was really impressive because all season she was just not self-aware at all. So to see her come and find a very self-aware place and actually call him over and apologize to him, I thought that was really impressive. So I spent the entire season disliking her because of her bad girl energy, but I really was impressed with her making that. And I think we all make mistakes. It's just about, being able to own up to that and take accountability for our mistakes. All right, moving on, a little fun here. You guys know that actually on the plane back from Disney, I watched Mufasa. Of course I would. I'm on the plane coming back from Disney. And I just think it's hilarious that Teyanna Taylor, who is not on um, reality TV anymore, is now living a life that probably would be best fit for reality TV. She is now dating um, Aaron Pierre, who is everyone's dream bae. He is like, I mean, he's gonna have to be people's sexiest man this year. I can't imagine who would be if he wouldn't. Maybe some white guy that we don't think is attractive, but he is like, he did Mufasa. He did that. There's a movie, a movie on Netflix that he's in that everyone went crazy over. One of my best friends made me watch it like 4 times with her on her birthday weekend. Um, and he's in a bunch of stuff. He went on the Jennifer Hudson show, went viral for just walking down the row. He does have like magical eyes. I don't know where those came from, but he's got them. And Teyana Taylor is I don't necessarily think that's a couple that's going to make it, but it's interesting because in today's time, coupling up is good for your career, right? So I think for her, just coming out of this divorce with Amon Schubert, very ugly. It turned into an ugly divorce, but her coming out of the divorce and now getting with Aaron Pierre, it makes it look like she won. They did this whole thing after the Oscars, putting up these black and white photos of them together looking striking. And I put, in my article, I think that Teyana Taylor is more sexy than she is like anything. So I mean, she takes great pictures. She's always fashionably just she's a fashion girl. She's gonna look fly, right? But do I really believe this is a real relationship? No. I think this is what she's doing to make herself look great. Drew said, who was that young man's daddy? Girl, I don't know. I don't know, but he and the mama did put together and did a great thing. Um, um, Yeah, yeah, I get that, Tina, as well. I've seen that too. And I think people say that because they're upset, but I think they'll still watch. Um, but yeah, I think Tiana's just having fun. I saw an interview with DDG, who is this, artist, and he was with um Haley Bailey, right? And they asked him if he was trying to build his social media, what would he do? And he said the first thing he would do is be on TikTok every day. He would go live. He would be talking all the time. And then the next thing he said is he would get in a relationship with someone that was popular, and then they would do content together. So it would look like I have motion, the people around me have motion, and all that. And what that said to me is like, this is a strategy. People are you at this point, and not that it wasn't a strategy before, because I've been a part of putting people together because of it's a good look for their career years and years ago. We did that before social media, but never to, it was not like this. This is crazy. This is actually in people's marketing plans, right? So I would do this and then I would get with a girl that's doing this. And so I think for Teyana Taylor, she saw that everyone is talking about this guy. He's obviously a beautiful young man. And I think it's a good look for her. I think she's trying to um, distance herself in her career from her ex-husband because they were so big together. A part of their brand was their family. And so I think with her doing the thing with they had a reality show, two different reality shows with them and their two girls, adorable girls that look just like Teyanna. I think that this is a part of her trying to scrub that off of her. So going and getting with this hottest guy out here, kind of shows that she's moved on from Iman. And I think she had kind of moved on anyway, because if you see Tiana's shows, you don't think that she's at home crying or pining over her ex at all. But I just, a lot of people are like upset to see them together. And I'm like, this doesn't feel real. This feels like a publicity stunt. And I think it's, for her, it's probably a better look for him. It connects him with African American culture because, he's from London. And so even though he looks amazing, he does has this, London accent, British accent that people think is attractive, but it also kind of distances them from the culture that is cool, that is Black culture here in America. So this, I don't think you can be with anyone that is more connected to the culture than Teyanna Taylor. She's definitely that girl, So I think it's a win-win all around, but I don't expect them. They probably are not even really seriously going out. This is probably just a photo op and maybe some other stuff, because what I have learned just from being a publicist, a little industry secret, is that sometimes when people are put together, they enjoy the benefits of being put with that person, so they do go out and they probably, have some intimate times together and all of that, because it just becomes like, this is part of my job. And so if my job is enjoyable in this way, why not? Why not? But let me know what you guys think about Teyanna and Aaron Pierre. I thought that she was a lot older than him, but she's not. Teyanna is actually only like 35, barely 34, 35, because she has been in the business for a really long time. When she got in, she was young. I remember the first time I saw her was on, oh my gosh, MTV's. Um, Here we go. It is like an hour and my computer freezes after 1 hour every time. Exactly an hour, it will freeze. All right, you guys, I don't know why my computer is doing this. This is so weird. I'm having all types of problems, just computer problems, location problems. I am trying to figure this out. I appreciate you guys that are still on there, are still on here. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But I guess it was telling me an hour is all that we needed for tonight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments if you agree with if you agree with me on the Housewives, what you think about Tiana and Aaron Pierre, if you believe that Tiana and Mufasa make a good couple, let me know that. And I will see you guys back here on Wednesday, and we will not have these problems. I'm gonna have to just put this computer in the shop too. It's never, life just keeps life keeps lifing. But I love you guys for watching. I will see you Wednesday. Scorpio Mo and I have a really fun dating diary, so make sure you tune in there. And I'll see you guys then. Get off to a great week. I'm going 75 hard. You may not want to go 75 hard, maybe go like 25 hard or like 30 hard, but do something to make your life better this week. Okay. I love you guys, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye bye.